a lot for coming. It's a great opportunity. My name is Nick. I'm from British International and we're based in Sydney. We've worked with Nippon Shaft for about 25 odd years and we manage, and that's probably a variable word, but we manage the territories of Australia through Southeast Asia up to India and some parts of China as well in terms of aftermarket distribution. So our job is busy. We work with partners in distribution in Australia with More Golf, Mick, and where is he here? GSA with Nathan, and we've got other state-based distributors in Australia as well. So we work directly with the OEM companies, and so if there's any questions that you want to put to me, feel free through the course of the afternoon or to Nathan or Mick. And I have with me a colleague from Sydney who's going to help us out tomorrow, just with a bit of extra work with some of the juniors that we're working with tomorrow in Tristan. So let me introduce very quickly. Hiro Fukuda is Nippon Shaft USA, and Ichiro Kurihara is Nippon Shaft Japan, and obviously no introduction really necessary, but thanks again, Karrie, for joining us today. I'll pass it over to Hiro, and Hiro will lead you through the presentation in this format, and Karrie.
So, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your schedule to come out here and present us. So, just we have a presentation prepared for our company, but I thought since we got Karrie here, it might be a good opportunity to go over some questions with Karrie and maybe a little bit about our history with Nippon Shaft. So, I just want to throw out some just general questions with you, Karrie, as far as your golf history, and maybe explain your equipment before Nippon Shaft.
Okay. Well, golf history, grew up in North Queensland in a town just south of Townsville called Webb. Played all my golf base there until I turned pro in the end of 1994. And played the European Tour for 1 year and the LPGA full-time for 22 years, and I've played occasionally since then, and old enough now to play with the old ladies, so played a couple of those this year. But yeah, had a great golf journey. Obviously, a dream come true, career, so very lucky. Golf's been very good to me. And obviously I've met a lot of great people along the way, and Hiro was coming out on the LPGA late 90s, early 2000s.
About 2000.
Yeah. With lightweight steel shafts, quality steel shafts. I think at the time, anything that was lightweight and steel wasn't very good. And at the time I was playing, I look at these, I still have all of my gamer sets, and I look at the sets of irons that I was playing. I was playing Dynamic Gold Sensicore S300s or something so heavy. Titleist DCI heads, and I look at those now and I just like, how did I even get the ball in the air? But I guess we were playing Ballada, so that was how it got in the air. But yeah, anyway, Hiro was out on tour, and at the time I was switching equipment companies to Strixon, and our equipment, our club repair guy out on tour that travels with us weekly, Paul Beamer, had Hiro had educated him really well on the shafts, and he was like, I think, you should try these shafts out. They're really good quality shafts, lightweight, and I think they'll suit you better than the Dynamic Gold. Plus, at that time, we were going away from the Ballada to, I played the Ballada until the Pro V1 came out, so obviously we're going away to the three-piece ball, and that spun less, and I needed something else to help me get my irons in the air. And so I went to the 1050 GH stiff to start with, and I played those till the end of 2015.
From 2002.
Yeah, 2002 to 2015. And then I also played the GT 600 graphite shafts in the woods. And then at the end of, well, I would have switched to the Formula B before the motors, right?
Yes.
The GT.
Well,
So,
just around
the same time.
around 2000.
Yeah. 11 was Formula B.
Around that.
Okay. Yeah. So I changed from the GT 600 to the Formula B, and I played that. Still playing that, and then switched to the Modus 105s at the end of 2015. And I played those until I started playing part time, and so wasn't practicing and obviously not playing as much. And so I was starting to see that my long irons I wasn't keeping in the air. And fortunately, being an ambassador for Nippon Shaft, I had access to Karrie Webb special motors because I love the profile of the 105s. So they had a 95 gram version of the 105 that they contemplated making in the Modus line. So they had a few sets of those. And so that's what I play now. Much to some of the players that I'm friends with that love the 105s, but also find them a little bit heavy. And so when they see that I have the Modus logo on my shaft, they're like, "What are you playing?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a Karrie Webb special." So, they get a little upset with that, but. And then just recently, I guess I switched to the new high launch hybrid shaft that Nippon has just released, and yeah, I love it. It definitely, and I think for me, it changed the loft of the hybrid that I was hitting, and I'm hitting it much higher and. Not that when I'm playing with the old ladies, we hit a lot of hybrids, but I was hitting a lot of hybrids when I was playing LPGA events at the end. But just being able to hold the greens a little bit better with it. But it gets, and still able to flirt the ball a little bit with it. So I've really enjoyed that. I've only played it a couple of weeks, so still getting to know exactly what it does. But yeah, I've had a great journey with Nippon Shaft there. A great company to be with. If any of you have been fortunate enough to travel up to Japan to the factory where they manufacture the shafts, it's like nothing I've ever seen. I've been through quite a few different equipment facilities and ball facilities, and this is like nothing I've ever seen as far as human beings inspecting the shaft through every process, not just at the end. It's literally through every stage. And takes, did you say 24 hours? Is it 24 hours to make one shaft?
24-hour process time, but it actually takes a little bit more because of the heat treatment. We gotta let the shafts cool down and send them out, but about 24 hours if you go step by step.
Yeah. So, I think the best example of the quality of shafts was a story I heard from Ping that any of Nippon's competitors, when they order 100 pieces, they do their own testing of the shaft, and they normally throw out 10 or 15 shafts because they're not great. And when they get 100 pieces from Nippon, it's rare that they throw out any. So it's that's a great testament from an equipment company because they realized that they were buying quality products. And I know that it's helped my game, and one of the things I love about Nippon too is that it's not just for high performance players. It's I've fitted my niece into them. Joanne Kana, who's a LPGA World Golf Hall of Famer, at 83 I put her in a set of Zalos, and Julie Inkster just recently I played with her. And she said she was looking at getting new clubs, and she was headed out to San Diego. And I said, you should get Hiro to fit you into some new shafts because I think you'll hit the ball higher. And I played with her at the Senior Open. She finished second, so and she was hitting the ball much higher. So I didn't hear any credit given to me, but she was hitting the ball higher. So I love that it fits, and I love that the journey for me into the future that I can stay playing Nippon shafts and I'll probably get to test the full lineup by the end of it.
Yeah, so, as you see here, playing with the old ladies, what else do you expect in the future or plan to do?
Yeah, I think I'm still deciding how much I want to play. I think it's more about the work that goes into it, and playing for me, I don't know how to play in a golf tournament and not grind in practice, and the grinding in practice is the stuff that does my head in these days. So, and also playing, I think it's, I had the highest of expectations of myself for so many years and still do, but, the game's not where those expectations are. So it's a balancing act between playing and enjoying it, because I don't mind going out for a hit, in the Tuesday comp at Townsville, and if I play well, I do. If I don't, I don't. It's not a big deal. But when it's for real, like those expectations rise, and so that's still up in the air how much I'm going to play, and if my body will allow that in the future. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm still doing a little bit of golf course design with Ross Perrott, and I'm still very much involved with my scholarship series with Golf Australia, and we're doing some stuff with their high performance junior squad tomorrow, which I really enjoy getting involved with that next generation of kids coming through. And I've loved watching all the Aussie girls doing so well over the last 5 to 8 years, and obviously 2 major winners this year, which has been really special.
Well, Karrie's been with us since 2006 as our ambassador, so next year marks the 20-year anniversary. But as long as Karrie wants to be with us, we are so blessed and honored to have you with us. So thank you very much. Any questions you may have?
Still using stiff shafts, or did it come off?
Well, when I went to the Modus, we soft stepped stiff, right? And I think that's what we're doing with the. I'm not very techy. I put my trust in the people that understand it. But I soft stepped the stiff again, and Karrie were special as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got the same shaft right through wedges, or do you go?
I play the Webb, the Modus wedge shafts, the 105s. Yeah. And those are great.
Those are pretty stock product. Let's see on the second from the bottom.
Yeah.
And the new chef that you're playing with, we don't have your guy here, but
When you go out in the range, you'll see that. And do you have any of those for them to hit?
We will have some eggshells.
Yeah. But I tried the original hybrid shaft, but it was just too much for me. I didn't get the ball in the air at all. So this is a really good shaft for me anyway. It definitely got the flight that I was looking for.
Karrie, what do you think has been the biggest innovation in golf clubs? Maybe we sort of say from 2010 onwards.
Okay.
Just to put a timeline on it, so from Willarders and things like
that. Yeah. Well, I think the ball has probably been the biggest, in my whole career, has been the biggest change. But I think, the shaft definitely. I think you have more options now. Suits individual players more than 25 years ago, 30 years ago. You just didn't have a lot of high quality options. So I think, that's the difference now, and that, you'll see like Scotty Scheffler plays the original hybrid shaft. But but I don't even know what other shafts he has in his bag. Like, there's just so many options that, I think to get the flight and trajectory of each club that you have in your bag. So, when you're testing a driver, you can have the same head and try so many different shafts, and that's ultimately in the end what gets you the flight that you want. So, and I would say too, the best innovation was the interchangeable heads, because back in the day, they were building you 3 or 4 or 5 clubs, and you might go away with 2, and then they probably pulled them apart and built them for the next person that came along. So, it's a lot easier now to be able to change out the shafts and find what you like.
Thank you.
Through your career, what's been your most favorite club in the bag or area, like short game, long game? What's been your favorite throughout?
Yeah, I get asked the favorite club question quite a bit. I've never really had a specific club. I think I want to like all of my 14 clubs in my bag. They need to be my favorite. And I think I would say that over the course of my career, what I loved to practice when I was a range rat and just stand on the range for hours, and now I probably enjoy practicing my short game a lot more than standing on the range beating balls. I think the fun thing about short game is how creative you can be, and not thinking about position in every part of your swing and trying to make it perfect. So that's sort of evolved over the course of my career.
What advice do you give to young professionals starting out?
Well, I think what I see with the young professionals coming through now, I don't think they've ever, I was 11 when I told my parents I wanted to be a professional golfer, and coming from the town I grew up in, that was a very, very big dream. But I still pictured that I would have to do it overseas. So my first few years overseas, I was homesick for my family and friends, but I wasn't missing being home because I was living my dream. And I think a lot of the kids, they haven't prepared themselves for that, and so they become homesick. So then that affects performance. And then I don't think they realize, just because you did it this way as an amateur and you were one of the best in the country, you still need to evolve and you need to grow. You can't. You just don't keep doing what you were doing then. And the work and commitment that goes into it. I think those two things scare the kids a little bit, but I think the upside to being adaptable to those two things is why you do it. You want to put in the hard work and you want the rewards. So, by not committing to that, I don't think you get the best out of yourself.
All right. Well, thanks, Karrie. Appreciate it. I might ask you to jump in on a few of these points, but we'll start the presentation.
Okay.
Great. So just a little bit of schedule for today. The presentation will be about 15-20 minutes at the most, but please stop me anytime if you have any questions. And afterwards, you can grab a lunch, and then we'll try to we'll head over to the demo area. We'll have a full lineup of products to hit.
Good. I'll sit down.
If you want. Sure. Thanks. So again, thank you very much for your time today. Just to give a little bit more information about our company. We were established in 1959. Nippon Shaft manufactures both baseball bats and golf shafts at 2 different areas and 2 different plants. Komagane in yellow is where we manufacture all our golf shafts, steel and graphite. That's about 82% of our business. And then at our head office We have the baseball diamond plant, and we have roughly around 240 employees, depending on the season time. I'd be remiss to not mention our parent company called NHK Spring. They were established in 1939. They are the world's largest spring manufacturer, manufacturing from automotive springs, from compression springs to leaf springs to suspension springs, but also precision springs like hard steel springs. And also we view golf shafts as springs as well. And in 1957, the World Golf, Championship was held in Japan. And at that time, the president of NHK Spring was a golfer. So he said, I want to make my own springs for all the shafts. So that's how Nippon Shaft was established in 1959. Originally, it was a heat treatment facility, but then a few years afterwards, we started to make our own shafts. Just some key dates within our company. Again, we were established in 1959. In 1999, just before I met Karrie, was when we released the groundbreaking product, the 950GH, the world's first sub 100 gram steel shaft. It was very popular amongst amateurs, and we felt that it would be a very viable shaft for the professional players. And that's when I started to go out on the LPGA tour in 2000, and was a hit immediately. And in the early 2000s, I believe our usage rate in either just a full set or wedges was about 80 to 90%. So the 950GH was a groundbreaking model that spawned a lot of our other products as well as competitors in that weight category. Last year was a big year for us. We celebrated 15 years going on the men's tour. And also, again, it was the 25-year anniversary of the 950GH. And then it was the 65th anniversary of our company. And this year we're proud to announce, release two products, the Maude Tour 110 and the Maude Hybrid HL. And I'll go through these products in a few slides from now. So many people ask why choose Nippon Shaft. There's other competitors and there's other models out there, but we feel that we can break it down to 5 different categories. We feel that we have the top engineering group to design the most widest performance products as in terms of weight and again performance. We work with some of the top vendors. 2 main vendors for golf shaft manufacturing, obviously, is the steel and also the plating. And we work with very high-end, again, industry-leading products. Manufacturing, we have the most stable, repeatable, reproducible manufacturing system that results in the tightest tolerances in golf shafts. We're very proud of that, of our facility. In terms of our products, we have about 17 approximate products in the steel category, ranging from 68.5 grams down to 39.5 grams. And we make the world's lightest steel shaft, and we also offer the world's heaviest steel shaft. Based upon our products, we have continued our dominance on the global tours, especially on the ladies tour, and on the men's side around the globe. We're 2, 3, depending on the week, across the world, and so we're very proud of our achievements, and that validates our products there. So again, as I mentioned earlier, we have about 17 products, listed catalog products that is made in steel, but we also can manufacture with graphite products, or graphite raw material, and then with our Maude Hybrid is a unique steel graphite type of combined material product, and based upon the steel and graphite. On the right side is the bend profile, or just our Maude shaft, and that shows the stiffness profile of how a shaft is measured. So from the tip end to the grip end, this just measures how stiff a shaft is across from the tip to the butt. And so even amongst the Maude products, and so there's unique products that are broken down to two different families, and I'll go through that as well. But as far as the variants of bend profiles, again, I think we have the most expansive lineup in the market. So we achieved those bend profiles by two different methods and two proprietary methods. Number one would be called the MSA, or the material shape adjustment, which changes the wall thicknesses of our products. And in this graphic, you can see the red portion is where the wall thickness is a little bit thicker than standard, which is just the gray portion, and then the blue portion is where the material's thinned out just a tad. And so just even amongst the 6 Maude products, bottom one is the wedge. Even though the 6 iron shaft models, there is a unique difference in terms of the product wall thickness in the category. So it's not just simply a lighter weight version of everyone. MHT technology is another unique Nippon shaft technology that we have the ability to apply variable heat treatments to different parts of the shaft. So in this graphic, the blue line, which is shows the heat, this is the H3 is the microvickers, or the hardness of the shaft on the surface of the shaft, and the standard heat treatment we apply to the TOR 120, TOR 130, so it's just a uniform heat treatment across. However, with our Modus TOR 125 and our Modus wedge, we apply more heat. The heat treatment is thus that we can change the feeling of the product. And so with the TOR 125, the stiffness of the feel of the tip section is a little bit softer, even though the material is thick, as you can see on the left side. And then the grip section is heated, so it feels a little bit more firm. So this is another unique technique that only Nippon shaft can employ. As I mentioned earlier, we work with 2 of the top vendors in terms of steel, which is a company called Nippon Steel. We've developed 3 different types of materials with them. The SA8655 is more of our standard material that we manufacture, the 950GH, Modus products, and some of the NS Pro products. And we were not able to get to that sub 95 grams without developing this material from Nippon Steel. And through the ages, again, as Karrie was mentioning, we also manufacture very lightweight products, such as the Zelos products, which falls into the 68 to the 70 gram category. And we developed a new material with them as well, called the NZN S60. On the left side, that coil spring, or that coil steel, is about 205 kilograms. The thickness of it is about 600th of a millimeter. Width is about 60 millimeters. And from that coil, we can manufacture about 2,500 shafts of it itself. On the right side is the condition of our shafts after it's returned from our plating company, Sun Plating. And in every shaft that we manufacture, over hundreds of millions, is returned back to us in this protective packaging. Each individual shaft is, as you can see, protected from each other, and so scratching is very important. This is something that we obviously want to avoid. We'll inspect it, but again, Sun is such a strong partner of ours that every shaft again is returned to us in this protective packaging. I've written down the ISO 9000, 9001, 14001. Those are international organization standards about quality management. So 9000 is more about production, 14001 is more about the environmental conditions or environmental standards that we follow as well as sublating products. So in terms of manufacturing shafts, it's around roughly 25 major steps, manufacture step. But in each, about 22 of those steps, we have in-process checks where we check either the weight, the shaft, the diameter of the shaft, and also visually inspect the shaft. So with that, we are able to, again, offer the tightest tolerances in the industry. And the mission on the top photo is just the machine showing the shaft coming up. I believe that would be the grinding operation. And there's a video presentation I'll show in a few seconds, but that either will reject the shaft within
these two boxes. They would open up if it's underweight. You see that's a little scale over there. So underweight or overweight, and then if they're within tolerances, they'll go into the good batch over here. This gentleman here is doing one of our destructive tests called the triple ISO test, which measures the strength of the tip and butt diameter, and also makes sure that the plating adhesion is properly done, so no flaking of the plating. 100% of all our products are inspected 2 times. Once after it gets plated, and then once we apply the silkscreen. We don't sort our products. We don't offer exiles or offer a Tor extra sorter product. However, every chef that's manufactured is again inspected 2 times 100%. And also, if it's not within our specs or our tolerances, it gets rejected. So just photos of some of our inspection operators, and then this machine on the right is the final step in our production. After inspection of the plating, inspection of the silkscreen, the chef gets put through this machine, which measures the tip diameter, butt diameter, and the weight of the product. If it's within the tolerances, this machine over here prints out the barcode, not a barcode, but the lot number, manufacturing date, the chef model, chef link, right on the beer bed, and it also bags each chef individually. So again, we've got about 25 major steps in manufacturing the shaft, and these are just some of the major steps. So forming from the tube to draw. You know what? Let's just put it. So there's no sound on this one, but I was just going to stop it a few times here. So this is a view from our facility, from our driveway. And so as you can see, we're nestled in the mountains. These are called the Komaganda Mountains, or the southern range of the Japanese Alps. So as you can see, it's a beautiful area that we work in. So the environmental pressures are very strict there. So we have a very, again, robust system for wastewater as well as exhaust as well. So as we drive up our plant over here, offices on the left, manufacturing facilities on the right. And again, as you kind of see here, we're surrounded by fields. I think these are rice fields. There's also apple orchards around us as well. And again, we are very conscious of being in this area. So we are very, very conscious of what we do in terms of waste. So we have basically 4 buildings for manufacturing the steel shaft, and 1 building for our graphic shaft plant. And right here, I'm just going to go back just a second here. We continue to grow as a company, and so just behind the parking lot over here, I'm also showing it, is where we have some land options, so we do have opportunity for growth. Just by moving back, and I think we also have leased some land over on the left side of the plant as well. So this is the first step in manufacturing the steel shaft, is the drawing process of the raw material. So the raw material, again, is about 600th of a millimeter. An average shaft wall thickness can be from 0.2 to 0.4 thickness, wall thickness, millimeters thickness. So the first step in the manufacturing of the shaft is to create a tube with that flat coil spring. And through a series of about 8 rolling dies, we manufacture this is. And I apologize, the video is kind of going a little bit, it doesn't really follow the manufacturing flow. However, this shows a cut piece of a drawn pipe. It is not yet in a form of a golf shaft. However, from this point it will be drawn further. So some of the steps I didn't include in the process is my presentation. This is the shafts, not the shafts, but the raw tubes that are being cleaned in acid baths, as well as also in lubricants to be able to go to the next steps. So this is actually the second step of the shaft manufacturing process. This is the initial tubes. About 800 of these are created from one coil, but at this point the wall thickness is at about 600 of a millimeter, which is again more than half of the wall thickness required for, depending on the model, steel shaft. So from this point we draw the shafts. It's a 2-step process. And again, I'm sorry, we're a little bit off track here, but this is the stepping process, or cold forming, creating the steps on the shaft. So before the stepping process, after the shafts have been drawn, after the tubes have been drawn to more thinner wall thicknesses, we cut them into workable lengths, depending on the model again, and then it gets polished and ground. And from this point, it's still a double-butted pipe, not a shaft yet, but this is where we can first start seeing the shaft, the pipes becoming a shaft. The next step after this is our internal wall thickness tapering, which is that MSA, or material shape and adjustment process. And just want to show with here, this is the shaft or the pipe in the shaft form. And this is going to be going through our high frequency tempering machine. And just wanted to just point out something different from what we and our competitors is each of these shafts are treated individually. We don't do batch processing in terms of heat treatment at this point, because once you do a batch processing in a big cage or so, you can't control what happens in the middle of the cage or the middle of the shaft. So that's why we apply to the heat treatment individually for each product.
Just a quick question. When you
Yes,
say the shaft is drawn,
Yeah.
so you have that raw length, and then when you say draw, you're just stretching it to make the thickness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reduce the wall thickness.
Yeah.
So again, each one treated individually here. This is that process that I showed that photo earlier, where each shaft, we have about 23 process trucks. This, I believe, is toward the middle of the process, where we actually weigh each product. And these two hoppers over here, if it is within specification, it falls into the good hopper. If it's a little bit under spec, it goes into one of these. I'm sorry, I can't read Japanese, I'm embarrassed. But it goes in one here, and then, or a heavier one. And if it's heavy, we'll re-inspect it. And if the process allows us, we might have to do an additional grind on it. But if it's under spec, then it's just completely rejected at this point. So the point of having these in-process trucks is that we don't have a quality control system where we inspect everything at the end and that there becomes good or bad. We can isolate the problem in each of the processes. So we know at that point we need to make material machine changes, and then we can further allow the shaft to go in the shaft manufacturing process. So again, each shaft is measured individually. And here's just a simple cutting process in the grip end. And this is still in the pipe form, not the shaft end. Yeah.
So from this point is, again, the next step will be the ball thickness check. So we have about 50, 60 inspectors, and that process, that was just showing the visual inspection after the silk screening, and the second 100% visual inspection. This is the clean room where we do all the silk screening. And here is that check I was showing you earlier, which is the triple IZOD test where we measure the hoop strength of both the tip and the butt diameter, as well as checking the plating adhesion. This is the control panel for the Robo-10 machine. The Robo-10 machine we use for testing as well as for prototyping. And so, just like any other test machines, we can change the different characteristics of the swing. This is just another destructive test. This is the permanent deformation test. Again, another test to measure the hoop strength of the body, which is a very big concern of ours. And also it measures, as a spring as well, off-chester spring, it measures the durability or again, this is not the EI machine, but this measures the strength of the outside of the shaft. So just over just various acid baths and lubricant baths. But one thing just when I saw this video and when I'm at the plant, it's not very smoky at all. It's very clean air, and again, we're very proud and also required to keep this condition in the area that our offices, our manufacturing plant is at. Just breezing through this, our inventory warehouse. We don't really carry much inventory. Our products are made just in time, so most of our products are just based on manufacturer's orders. I think that's really about it. So, yep, I think that's it. Yep, so thank you. So we'll get back to the presentation.
I think it's valid to add or to reinforce that even in that dirtiest part of the factory, which is the acid baths and the lubricant baths and what have you, it's absolutely pristine, clean. You feel like you could eat breakfast off the floor, which is unusual in terms of that sort of metal manufacturing business. So, yeah, a few times I've been up to the factory, it's impressive how clean it's kept 100% of the time. And that's just that whole agenda of quality and precision that Nippon shafts seem to work to.
I see one person I recall that has been to our plant over here. And so I think Greg can validate that. Our plant is as such in the video. So again, as I mentioned, we have about 17 catalog products. We have many prototypes, one Karrie Webb special, and some others for the PGA guys, as well as the JGTO or Japan Golf Tour operators. And it's broken down into basically 4 different families. The Zellos, the Neo, and this Pro, which is our original family of products, and then the Maude products. If we categorize it in terms of product and brand map, the Zellos would be the lightweight, or let's go with the top portion would be more of the premium products made up of the lightweight Zellos models. The midweight or lighter but midweight these days, Neo products, which is kind of an offshoot of the 950 or the Neo NS Pro products. And then of course we have more pro-oriented Maude products, which are meant for the better players or not better, but for a faster swing speed type player. The 4 categories of products also differentiates itself in terms of performance. The Neo would
promote the highest ball flight and ball spin. Zealous, the Neos, which were created, the first one created, the 950GH Neo in 2019. And then offshoot would be the 850GH, 750GH, would be again more for the slower swing speed players that need a little bit of spin and trajectory. The NS Pro products is such a versatile and model lineup with about 8 catalog products right now for the variety or the most versatile in terms of players as well as for performance, and then more of our lower spin, lower trajectory products listed here as the Modus products here. So again, the original product family category was the NS Pro. Currently it's about 5 catalog products, but we would have about 8 over the course of the life of the NS Pro products. The initial product that made us more famous would be the 950GH, which again released in 1999. It was the first sub 100 gram steel shaft, and we've achieved many. We've been happy to be involved with over 400 tour wins across the world, mainly on the latest tours, JLPGA, LPGA, and it's been our best-selling product as well. And with the 950GH, it spawns 7 other products, 6 other in the NS Pro range, and then also spawned the 950 or the Neo products. Another product family category that is the Modus right now is made up of 6 iron shafts, 1 wedge shaft, and this again is meant for the faster speed player. We first released the Modus Tour 120 in 2010 after spending a year on a PGA Tour speaking with the players and giving their feedback. As you can see, this is just a little bit of a timeline of our products. So 2009, again, we first came out here on tour with some prototypes, and then over the course of the last 15, 16 years, we released 6 other products in the NS Pro and Modus category. Our first Pro major win was with the Tour 120, and that was with Henrik Stenson at British Open, and then a year later with the Tour 130 with Sergio Garcia. So I think I tried to illustrate earlier with the wall thickness map is that our shafts are not just strictly the same structure but lighter weight. They are all unique, and they also perform differently. Unfortunately, I'm sorry I didn't include the Tour 115 performance in here, but it would fall more in line with in between the 105 and the 105 and the 125. However, again, it's just not about changing the weight or lightening the weight of the product. So our Modus products can be categorized into 5 series, and then with the release of the Modus 110 this year, we were able to complete the 0 series. On the right again is the bend profiles of all 6 Modus iron shaft models. It's a little bit of an eyesore, so I broke it down a little bit more into, again, the 5 series, which shows more of their traditional bend profile products. Again, if it was just simply a difference in weight, the linear bend profile would be very parallel with each other. But as you can see, there's different characteristics amongst the 3 models. And then the 0 series products, which is the unique bend profiles, the first to market bend profiles. The first one we came out with was the Modus Tour 120 in the red. So as you can see, the design of the product is softer in the midsection and the handle, but very firm in the tip section. Tour 130 is complete opposite, softer in the tip, very firm in the midsection, and very firm in the handle. And then the product that we released this year is Tour 110. It's kind of a hybrid of it, that it's firmer in the tip and the mid, firmer in the tip and the 130 and Tour 120. Firmness of the 120 tip, firmness of the mid, the 130, and softer in the handle of the 110. And then the Tour 125 would be kind of the most traditional bend profile product that we have. So just put that as a point of reference. So with the release of the Tour 110, kind of illustrates another thing that there is a conception that weight affects performance, or weight, the heavier the weight, the lower trajectory of the product is. When in actuality, it's not. It's more about the wall thicknesses, the bend pro and the stepping patterns. And so the Tour 110, in my testing that I found, is actually the lightest shaft, but it's also the lowest in terms of trajectory and spin. And of course, as you know, with probably fittings through many players, every shaft is different from every player. How a player's swing can affect performance, but in general, the 110, even though the slightest, the lowest trajectory and spin, 120, again, played by many on the tours, is considered a mid to lower trajectory, and then our heaviest of the 0 series of the Tour 130 is actually the highest ball flight that we found. Go through these. Again, I think I just went through this in terms of the differences between the three models. And then another product lineup that we in the Maude's family is the Maude's Wedge. Again, this shows the bend profile of the three models in the family. Karrie plays the Maude's 105, or Wedge 105. On the PGA side, we see more of the 125 and a little bit of the 115. But 115 is the most versatile out of the three in terms of the weight and the player characteristics. The Maude's Hybrid. This is the unique product of Nippon shaft, and then we use both graphite and steel to create the shaft. So the Maude's Hybrid has about a 70-gram steel core, or a step shaft, that is wrapped with about 20 grams of graphite. That gives it the additional durability and also gives it, obviously, the outside appearance of the shaft. The Maude's Hybrid was based off the bend profile of the Maude's Tour 105, which again is a mid to higher bend profile, or mid to higher spin and performance product. But it truly is an innovative product, and it integrates both the best of both steel and carbon materials. And it falls with the weights of the Maude's Hybrid in the 90 to 110 category. If somebody plays a 115 to 120 or even 130 gram iron shaft, but they play a 70, 60 gram driver shaft, the Maude's Hybrid is perfect in terms of the weight flow of the products. It goes from a lightweight graphite driver, and then it just falls in line with the heavier weight iron shafts. And so one of the impetus of us creating the Maude's Hybrid was just that, is that some players have told us that they felt that their hybrid chest was a little bit too light, a little bit too soft, because some of the times they were just cut down fairway chips. And so we're proud again of the release this year of the Maude's Hybrid HL model, which is one that Karrie has put in her bag this year. And so the weight of the Maude's Hybrid HL is 91 grams, very similar to the S and the Tour Stiff, but the difference is the torque and also the butt stiffness. And we achieve this by applying a different type of wrapping pattern of the pre-preg material. And so it has softened up the tip and the hand section, and that's where I believe this Karrie mentioned earlier, it helped her achieve just a little bit higher ball flight compared to the stiff flex of the original Maude's Hybrid shaft. Not many people know this, but we do make driver shafts. And the main series that we have right now is the Reggio Formula Plus series. And the bend profiles of the three models that we have are based off the bend profiles of our Maude's iron shafts. So the theory is that if you are a fan of our, let's say our Tour 120 iron shaft, we offer the B+, which has a very similar bend profile, which is firmer in the tip, softer in the mid, softer in the handle. And on the flip side would be the Tour 130, soft in the tip, firm in the mid, firm in the handle. And so again, if you're a fan of one of the iron shafts, we have the corresponding the driver shaft. However, even though we use the bend profiles as benchmarks to create the Reggio Formula Plus series, we found that the Neo players or Zealous players, they usually tend to gravitate to the MB Plus, which is the most universal kind of linear type bend profile shaft. We also manufacture putter shafts, and we released the putter shaft last year called the NS Pro putter shaft. 3 different weights: 120, 140, 160. And as you know, there's a growing popularity of aftermarket putter shafts these days, which is about stability. And so we achieved that by creating different weights and different wall thicknesses. And so again, 120 is kind of a standard uncut weight putter shaft, but 140 and 160 are definitely unique and they're a little bit heavier, and then that's due to different wall thicknesses. You can't see it on here. Pass this around. Well, we'll have it here, but here the plating that we apply to this putter shaft is a non-glare what we call luxury silk finish, so it's not like a very shiny chrome. Jump into the Neo products, and so the question you have with what our big equipment differences since 2010, what we found is that the modern heads with strong lofts don't spin enough, and so the Neo was created for that. And that here's a graphic representation of the bend profile of the Neo versus the standard 950GH in the black dotted line, but to promote a little bit more spin and trajectory. By stiffening up the midsection, it essentially softens up the tip section. So that's where it helps increase the ball flight and the additional spin rate. Increase the spin a little bit. And so the original model was the 950GH Neo, and then based upon the success of the 950GH Neo, we released 2 other models in the 85 grams and the 75 gram category. And that's the one that we released this year. And so in this case of the Neo, it is more or less one model with different lighter weight versions. So what we found in the United States is that some creative club fitters have actually created like a combo set, not only of heads but also of shafts. So they put 750GH Neo in their long irons, 850 Neo in their mid irons, and 950 Neo in the short irons. And so with the 750GH Neo released this year, it marks the 3rd model in the 70 gram category from the original 75 gram category shaft, which was the 750GH middle, and then later released was the Zealous 7. And so, but in this case, it's not just simply, there is a difference in the wall thicknesses, which this graphically shows the bend profile again. The 750GH Neo falls right in between a very soft Zealous 7, which is a fuller flexing model, and the 750GH, which is a lighter weight, traditional feeling shaft. So in terms of performance, the shafts match up with how the shafts how the Zealous Neo and the 950 or the 750GH are marketed. So the Zealous 7 being the lightest, or being the softest in terms of profile, will promote the highest ball flight and ball spin, followed by the 750GH Neo and then the original 750GH. So I mentioned again the Zealous models, which is a slower swing speed, designed for the slower swing speed to promote the highest ball flight and spin rates. And again, this too, very similar bend profiles as well. So I've seen this used in combo sets as well. And yeah, getting back to this is the one that L6 is the one that Karrie fit Joanne Carner in a few years ago. She was playing graphite for a while and she just wanted more. She wanted to get away from graphite.
Yeah, she did, she wanted to use steel.
She wanted to stay with steel. So she put it to this L6 and thank God for her. So yeah, it performed well for Joanne, which means it can perform well for just about anybody out there. So we first been out on tour on the LPGA tour, and of course, one of the first players I met out there was with Karrie. Some other players at that time who were prominent players that were using our products like Kelly Robbins, Daniel, Meg Mallon, I think Betsy King was playing our product at that time. And Alcott, was she out there?
She would have been out there.
She would have been out there. I saw her a few weeks ago when Karrie played the U.S. Senior Champion, Senior Open. She still had our 950 in her wedges. But again, through Karrie's journey with the Maude shaft, she first started off with a GT600 driver shaft and 1050 GH in her irons. And through her presence and through her assistance, we have done very well on the LPGA Tour. So since 2003, we've won 57 majors with them. But in the last 6 years, we've been in 17, the winning backs of 17 majors. And so by saying in the winning backs, it also includes just wedges as well. So Minji, Hannah Green, Grace play play in their wedges. But as you can see, we got various different products that is used for iron sets. So the prototypes for the Modus Tour, the Zelos, the Neos, and as well as the 950 GH. And again, the 950 GH still remains our most popular product, our most successful product. Just in terms of our Modus wins, since 2010, we have close to 437 total wins. But just this year alone, we've had 36 wins around the globe. As you can see, we've just won just about one on every tour, which is about every model that we've had out there. Tour 120 remains the most popular, and I think that's due to the fact that it's just been out there. We've been out on the regular PGA Tour with our tour band, going to about 30 events across the country. Go to a few Korn Ferry Tour events as well, but we have 2 full-time reps on the PGA side and one that is mainly on the KFT or Korn Ferry Tour that also helps us out on the PGA side as well. So I think I mentioned this earlier too. Again, we've had the #1 count on the LPGA Tour and the global ladies tours. The most popular models being the 950 GH, just in that order. Pretty much 950, and then we have a few players that have played the Zelos products out there. And then on the men's side, the 120 still remains the most popular. And surprisingly, the 105 is popular, even though it's lighter weight. It's more popular on the American side. And the Tour 125 is more popular. This is more of the listing of the American side. Tour 125, a heavier product, is more popular on the Japan Tour, so it's quite interesting. But every product is used out there and has been in the winning backs. That's about it. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Kind of fumbled through that and went through it pretty quickly. So if anybody has any questions, I can answer. Or go to the slide that you might want to see. Yes, sir.
Do you ever think of, during your process of spining the shaft?
Spining the shaft, so that is a test if everybody knows where it tries to find the hardest point of a shaft. In terms of manufacturing and in terms of our personal testing, we have not found it to be beneficial or negative performance effect on the product. Out on tour, hard doesn't play it, it's fine. I can't think of, as far as our players, I can't think of really maybe 1 or 2 players that have our shafts pure or spined or something like that. But our shafts that are through our manufacturing process. Let's try to get it there. So, tube forming. So after the raw flat steel is formed in Jiu-Jitsu, we TIG weld the shaft. The next step is we do it's called annealing. It's a softening of the material. And what that does is basically not eliminates the weld seam, which is eliminated basically in the drawing process. But after, again, the pipe is formed, the shaft is TIG welded. The shaft basically, before it gets annealed, the shaft really wants to go back into the original flat form. Through the annealing process, it basically somewhat eliminates that spine to that shaft. Step 1, step 2, and then step 3 is where once we do tapering it, you can see it, but it's essentially the hardness of the shaft is uniform. Right?
You got it?
Oh, there is a usual bend point that we find in most shops, so
I think you see that more in graphite shafts.
steel as well.
Steel too. I'm not doubting that it's not there. But again, what we haven't found any beneficial performance effects from doing that. Now, I'm not here to talk about our competitors, but I have found, what I've heard is that some of our competitor shafts are not straight. And that's where maybe the curing or spining the shaft may be more beneficial for those type of products than they are for our shafts, which I think are concentric or straight.
But you have considered it.
Would be, as far as our process, our end process, quite honestly, I can't speak for the plant, but I personally don't think we have it within the facility to do something like that. We would have to do a spining, then we'll have to adjust the silk screening based upon that. And that's where it's just kind of just not within our capacity or capabilities at this point.
It's probably fair to add to that, John, is that the concentricity, so the difference in wall thickness through the length of the shaft is very tightly controlled through that tube forming process. It's not possibly you can feedback as well, but I think that possibly the variation that you might find in a spine on a Nippon shaft versus another shaft is probably far less in terms of that additional tolerance checking. And I think that spining is probably going further than what would be a normal tolerance on the steel shaft interaction.
I just find that it's such a process, very intricate every step, and yet there's maybe one step that could be added to it. You know, can you make a better product?
Yeah.
Well, that's where we're relying on you guys' steps, to be quite honest with you. Because again, it is not really a manufacturing process. It's more of a quality check at the end. And then based upon that, again, as I mentioned about the silk screen and such, it's not within our capabilities.
Where do you see the evolution of the multi-material shafts, like the graphite and steel, evolving into the iron range, the steel range, and where do you see the limits of material science going? How light can you go? Is that the goal to develop with your steel partners stronger, lighter materials to make lighter shafts?
So to answer your first part of that question, yeah, we have in our prototyping stages tried different types of graphite on steel products, irons, fairways, as well as driver shafts. There might be some prototypes out there actually already in those forms. However, for a graphite iron shaft, a graphite on steel iron shaft, it's a relatively easy process because the steel core shaft doesn't have to be super light like you would for a driver or a fairway shaft. And that's where we're kind of having some difficulty to come up with a 40, 50 gram steel core long enough strong enough to be able to perform, as well as to be able to apply that graphite on top of it. As far as just a pure steel shaft, we have limitations in materials, but I have seen prototypes in Japan of a 40-gram steel iron shaft. Quite honestly, it's not, we're not comfortable with the durability of that product. And at that point, I think with the increased quality and durability, and not durability, but the variability of graphite materials, that might be something that we're looking at as well, just go pure graphite. But we constantly are researching on ourselves, as well as through our parent company, different types of materials and the multi-material compounds. Yes, sir.
I'd probably more like to ask Karrie about testing that ghost HL, and obviously it's quite heavier, quite a little bit heavier than a normal hybrid shaft that you would use. How is it through the testing process of the feel? And obviously it's getting the launch that's required, but was the weight, didn't feel too heavy at times or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I think the original one that was made up for me was longer. It's funny, wasn't it? Because when it was longer, it didn't, oh no, it was when we made the shorter one first, right? Change the band profile.
Yeah.
Change the band profile. So one was a little bit longer, and it was too heavy for me. It was like D4, and
I think, yeah.
But it still performed, even then it still outperformed flight-wise to the hybrid I was using. And I had just the GT600 cut, so like a fairwood shaft cut down. And it was a bit of a Karrie Webb specialty. But yeah, so it definitely feels heavier than that. And for me, so I put hybrids in my bag when TaylorMade first came out with their rescues. So back then I think the thought was that you matched them to your fairway widths. And so I played it like that for such a long time. But even the design of hybrids now, you play them like an iron pretty much. And you can flight them like an iron. So matching the weight towards my iron shafts, I felt it wasn't that much of a change really. It was more of a change mentally in my head than it was once I saw the performance of it and how much higher it was. And I wasn't, because obviously I didn't want to hit it any further. I just wanted it to go a certain distance. So, we played around with the different lengths, and we got one down to still a little bit heavier than my irons, but it's performing really well.
Cool.
Hiro saw me hit it on the range at the US Senior Open. It was very nice.
One and done.
Well, on the range there, everything's really nice.
But it was a one and done, so it was great to see that. But yeah, with Karrie also, when we first tried Ouster to test, it was the S version. So the 91, and it was just a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that's where, with Karrie's feedback, we thought that we needed to come up with something just a little bit tad softer in the hand and a little bit of the stiff section as well. And that's where, through your feedback of the original stiff, is how we came up with the HL.
Yeah, I think with the kick point and grip, that was my thing. It just felt really.
It was just firm.
Yeah, we're too firm.
Too firm, more upside.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A question for way back in 2005. How did you approach Karrie, and what was that sort of conversation? Have we got some shafts that are going to make you a better player? Was that sort of the nature of the conversation? And maybe from Karrie, when you tested it against the DG S300, what was it for you? Was it just like better ball flight, distance, dispersion?
Yeah, so that what was it, 2002, right?
2002, when you
Yeah.
put the temperature.
Yeah, so, I think it was, obviously it's around the change of the ball as well. And, so for me, and I was still playing a 3-iron at the time. So, for me instantly, my long irons were launching much higher. And, obviously shorter irons were launched a bit higher too, but I never really struggled on that end. But, through the bag, it was just more consistent. And, well, I could probably hit more, I could probably stay on the range even longer after that because I wasn't working so hard to hit it. That's why when I look at those clubs now, it's just, they're like broomsticks, so stiff and heavy and, But yeah, no, it was an instant change for the bag, for sure.
I don't think I really approached Karrie originally for shafts. It was through the name that she mentioned here, Paul Peter. He's a very strong advocate of our product, and he does all the club fitting and all the club repair on the LPGA tour. And so I contacted him first, and through him I developed a relationship with Karrie and such. But I think initially Karrie, it was just strictly through Paul. And at that time in 1999, 2000, we only had the 950 GH. And so a year later, we came up with the 1050 and the 850 GH. And so that's where I think he may have tested 950, didn't like it.
I think I hit it.
Too high.
Spun it too much.
Yes. And then the 1050 GH was created again, as I mentioned, 2 years after the 950 GH. And it was originally created as the wedge shaft version for the 950 GH, but since the wedge performs so well, we made the full complete iron shaft line.
I was wondering with your tolerances that when one doesn't make it through, is that something that can be recycled, or is that something you forfeit to produce such a high quality product?
So in terms of manufacturing, so in this process, let's say this is the final grind, this looks like the final polishing. If it's under spec, we have to scrap it. We'll scrap it, we won't sell it.
Yeah.
If it's just a few tenths of a gram or so heavy, if we can possibly rework it, we'll just rework it.
Yeah.
But we don't do any extra sorting of our products at all. We just have, the 950.
What do you do with the scrapped metal? I think is that.
Oh, we just recycle.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
recycle material.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is, without question, it is not sold. So not the Karrie Webb Special, but the Motor Store 105 that Karrie tested it initially. The one that she plays is the one that anybody else can buy. So we don't try to separate any quality products by quality or pricing actually.
You've got a box full of spare shafts going.
Oh yeah, I have a few of the Karrie Webb specials. I started worrying, I'm like, how many more sets of these are there?
Would you ever plan to release bent putter shafts for aftermarket?
Do we have for bent putter shafts
Yes.
for the aftermarket? We do have some open models that we do sell. However, we work with a couple of the top putter guys right now in the United States, and the bend angles are different for each company. So that's where we just make it for them. We don't offer those versions to the aftermarket. We have more of a universal bends that we can do, and through Nick, we can offer it as well.
Okay.
The black coated shafts have been multiple different coloured shafts being very popular. And obviously it's the 105 is the range that's available. Is there a move to expand that to all weights and shafts?
So our plating operator, Sun Plating, at this point, unfortunately, our main process, our main production line is just straight chrome. However, we do have a limited edition in terms of what we call the luxury black chrome that we are pushing and working with them to expand a little bit further. But over the course of the next couple of years, we will be offering limited editions of that luxury black in pretty much all the models. We also, in the past, have offered a painted over steel, or a painted over chrome product. However, trying to move away from that and go toward the straight chrome, just more for durability and strength. Okay, well, thank you again. Thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it. We've got some food over here in the back, and we'll get some drinks going as well, and then we'll have some time.
If you've got any questions, hit up one of the guys, myself, Vero, or Karrie, or Ichiro. We can head out across to the range sort of as a progressive exercise. There's a bit of food here, and if you want to have a look at the HL and the hybrid shafts, we'll take those from here up to the range as well.
Can these guys go out and try putter shafts as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, great.
Basically anything.
Yeah, we'll just take those bags up as well.
Okay, we'll take that. We'll take these out there as well.
Yeah.
Great.
So, thanks, and we'll talk further up on the range. The range opportunity is one where we can just test out the new 750 GH or test out the Maude model that you've not seen, or ask a few questions and back-to-back test. And we've got some heads from different manufacturers there. You can plug the different shaft into that head and just see or feel the difference on the range there. We're not sitting in front of a TrackMan or anything statistical, but it's more a feel exercise today. When you do test, one of the undertakings we made to you for coming today was we'd set you up with a set of iron shafts or a driver and a hybrid shaft. So make sure that you speak to me on that before you leave to make sure I've got your contact details, or you've got mine, so we can then sort that out after you've worked with the shaft. So please feel free to have that conversation either here or after the event. Yeah. Please.